Good evening and welcome to a special meeting of the Ulysses Town Board. It is December 12th, 2023, and I will call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. May we please have a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Boggs.
Present.
Ms. Bouchard.
Present.
Ms. Olson.
Present.
Mr. Goldman.
Present.
Ms. Weatherby.
Present.
Full quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. We do have a meeting agenda. I do have a couple minor modifications that I'm hoping you'll entertain. I'd like to add on H for B committee appointment under new business. And I would like to relocate item B under the consent agenda and make that I under new business, pull that out agenda. We need to make a very small tweak, but that requires not being a consent agenda item. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add or modify to the agenda?
Well, request a comprehensive plan update for this contract could be maybe just with Michelle.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll add that as item J. Any other alterations? Okay, call for a motion as will someone approve the agenda as amended.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. We have no old business. I'd like to extend my thanks though to the board for there is a chorus concert for 5th through 12th grade, and I've got multiple kids performing tonight, so I'm very appreciative that you're willing to start an hour early, and then Rich will be taking over the gavel as a deputy in my absence. But we have a lot of pressing business, and we are gonna get through. First up, our consent agenda. The items are listed at the 2024 budget modifications. Mostly related to some funding. We pulled out B, and then that moves into scheduling a public hearing for the 2024 fire contract, which was presented in the board packet and posted online. Scheduling that for January 9th at 7:05 p.m. And then the third item under the consent agenda is scheduling a public hearing for the remaining American Recovery Plan Fund Act allocations and scheduling that for 7:05 p.m. on the 23rd of January. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda resolution?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, that brings us to, it is the end of the year. And so this is a very common time for us to be doing appreciations. And so I'd like to, the first resolution related to that relates to Mr. Jeff Burns. He has served us for many, many years as a very able IT administrator, and he installed the town's first server. So he basically goes back to the foundation of the town having computers. And so he let us know last summer that he would be retiring at the end of June this year, and he very graciously continued to assist us in our transition to our current IT software world and infrastructure and cybersecurity world. And so a resolution thanking him for his service, and we will get it printed out and I will sign it. We'll make sure he gets a copy of it. Is there anyone willing to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And next up is Lucas Albertson. He's been he worked as the fire inspector for the town since April of 2018. And after many years of there not being a contract in place with the Ithaca Fire Department, there is a contract in place now with the fire department. And he let us know that at the beginning of December would be the end of his service to the town. And so we are advertising right now. And so this is a resolution thanking him for his service to the town as well. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't understand the thing about why, the fire department.
Well, if you go out for anyone who's been, I've had a spouse in the union that was out of contract for a number of years, they catch you up for the back years that you were not in contract. So everybody would have gotten a check, for retroactive pay. So that has certainly probably resulted in the not as many needs for second jobs for many firefighters. So I'm personally glad that as someone who lives adjacent to Ithaca, or at least they cover fire service, that they're, you know, they have a union contract, so. And then that brings us to town board and committee members resolution of appreciation. This is, we'd like to thank the hundreds and probably actually really thousands of hours these groups have collectively dedicated to the town on an annual basis, and acknowledge the hard work of the Bee Friendly Community Committee, the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, the Conservation and Sustainability Advisory Council, Habitat Nature Preserve Committee, Planning Board, Tree Advisory Council, Water Source Protection Plan Committee, and the Youth Commission. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. That brings us up to, and Michael, I printed off one copy, but if you want a physical copy, I only printed off one. This is the next item up is MRB Group's proposal for a map, plan, and report for potential water district number 5. This would be Grassroots proposed water district on Falls Road for the public. This is a reflection of Grassroots as an organization submitted an incomplete petition request for water. In order to complete the petition, a map plan report needs to be completed. Earlier this year, the town board authorized the establishment of an agreement with Grassroots that they would pay for the professional services necessary to complete this. We signed a contract and they have deposited the funds in our town's escrow account. So we have the funds on hand to pay the bill when the bill is finished. So the contract is directly with us because that's who the proposal's with, but it's not being paid for by the public. It's being paid for by Grassroots. So, any questions? Yep.
So in the spirit of anybody wanting to do historical research, I think this should be named whatever, like water district number 6 or something, because water district 5, well, I know doesn't exist. There was a lot of work that went into it. I think it predated me on the board. So if somebody's going to go back and go, oh gosh, what was water district 5? They may get confused between this and what took place in the other part of the town.
I'll talk to Nate about it. I mean, I think for this document, it probably doesn't matter, but if we adopt it, you know, accept this, if we accept and create a water district, we've never finalized number 5, and this was originally part of what would constitute number 5. So that's an interesting
Well,
legal
number
question.
5 was, I believe,
Falls Road.
no, I thought
It was also like out 227.
Right.
And
It
then
was all this,
Falls
wasn't it?
Road,
Was it?
So it's.
So it's been
many
reused a couple
proposed
times.
cars.
Maybe it's been more than one for both
Yeah.
5, but the other 5, the first 5, didn't have it.
Yeah.
yeah. So what I'm thinking of is like, okay, you have a historian that's going to go, oh, look into this thing. And I know, like, you know, where I work, you know, where there's databases are huge, you know, huge deal, and trying to name them and make sure that things aren't, you know, don't overlap or commingle. That's where I think this, we might want to name it something else.
Yeah.
It's just a suggestion.
No, I'm happy to find out. I don't know if there's any legal limitations on what, like, if you've never established one, if skipping a couple of numbers for historical purposes for legal,
I'm
yes?
guessing that you can't,
Can't what?
I'm guessing that you
Skip
can't
numbers.
skip numbers. It's like, you know, the other ones were just ideas. And I have them stored in the records as proposed water district 5, proposed water district 5, wherever else, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I'm happy to look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a suggestion.
Absolutely.
No, thank you.
Making things easier for future town historians is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So,
So they would, MRV would commence on this as soon as they have an executed contract.
yeah, and it's part of the resolution that I'll sign and provide it to Krista.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then the resolution, this handy dandy one. Michelle put it together tonight because we just finally got the. I will read it, for the public. And it'll be obviously in the minutes as well. But this relates to our 2024 emergency services contract, or emergency medical services contract with the village of Trumansburg. We, the town of Ulysses contracts for, ambulance services, through the village's, department that handles, emergency medical services. So this resolution says, whereas the village of Trumansburg, hereafter referred to as the village, a municipal corporation, maintains an ambulance department with a basic and advanced life support transporting ambulance service. And whereas the town wishes to provide ambulance service to its residents in the town of Ulysses Ambulance District. And whereas such emergency services are vital and necessary to the health and welfare of the inhabitants of the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Ulysses, on behalf of the town of Ulysses Ambulance District, hereby approves and authorizes execution of the 2024 EMS services agreement between the village and the town, and further resolved that pursuant to the agreement, the town shall pay the village the sum of $440,255 for EMS services. That is the budgeted amount that we considered during our budget process. Any questions? Nope. So for the public who might be watching, and I'm sure town board members probably already remember this, EMS services we are not required to provide them. So there are plenty of municipalities, including Enfield, who are adjacent municipality who do not provide ambulance services. So we can just see the contract and sign the contract tonight. We are going to be scheduling, we just scheduled in the consent agenda, a public hearing on our fire contract. We do have a legal responsibility as a municipality to have a fire, to provide fire service, fire protection. And so that's why there's a public hearing for the fire contract, but no public hearing for the ambulance contract. So there you go. So there was a motion and a second, correct? Nope. Is there a move? So we're just moving right along so fast. I lost track
We're ready to
of
go.
the beats.
I'll make a
Is there a
motion.
motion to approve?
Sure, make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
So I just wanted on the record that out of the 440, we do get reimbursed a good sizable amount.
From billing,
From
billing.
billing for the service. So.
Insurance does pay us. Yep, that's a very good point. Thank you, Rich. So we will call for a vote then. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Then next up is gatekeepers resolution. This is for Tompkins County Youth Services. The county, I am very appreciative of the county for the fact that they recognize how important youth development is, and how important it is in helping kind of intercede in young people's lives who may need more support and who benefit from having a warm, positive youth development program. I brought you a similar gatekeepers resolution back in September. And that was for the balance of funds for 2023. This is a request for us to go and receive the funds from the matching funds that have already been allocated. I do need to make a minor change. The total number exceeds a little bit of $30,000. It's coming in at, well, it's coming in under 32,000. So it's a flat number. I don't have the exact number in front of me. And it's in part, I need it to exceed 30,000 because we're going to get a little bit more than 30,000. And because we get both the Tompkins County allocation and $1,055 from state aid, and I did not include that in the original amount. So what this matching money is that both the town and the village contribute money to support both youth services and recreation in our joint municipalities space. And the county doesn't match it completely, but it is matching funds, and we are very grateful. They did increase their contribution this year by 2% from 2023, and so it's really important. So that's what this was asking for. Is there a motion to approve
Motion to approve as amended.
as amended? The 32,000. Yep. Thank you. This application funding request will be going in Friday, probably Thursday, but it's due Friday. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Are we not doing the other resolution?
If we move that to.
Oh, you did it.
Aye.
Yep. We're coming back to that one.
Got it, okay.
And that brings us to Bridge New York grant application. I might tap it, Michelle, if you have any questions about this. We are looking at Bridge New York just recently gave us $1.5 million for the Curry Road culvert. And we would like to put back in basically replay. I don't know how many times we've replayed. Three times.
This will be our third
Time replaying the culvert for Maplewood Road hairpin culvert. And try to get funding for that. Is there anything you want to add?
Last year, when we did this application, the total project cost was projected to be about around $830,000. And this is 100% match up to 1.5. So I'm confident that if we get this funding, there would be no local match.
Cool.
So this will be the third time it goes in. Do we know why it wasn't one of the ones that were selected for a variety of reasons?
Right,
But we don't
yeah,
have
there's
any feedback?
they don't provide feedback.
Okay.
I will be on the review team again. I won't review ours, but we were encouraged to.
It's one of those ones, I get the impression, and I can't speak for the state, of course, but I get the impression it's like it's an endurance contest in some cases. Like, as long as you qualify, you just have to end up, if you keep, we're not having to reinvest. We've already done the work on it, so. Seems stupid it needs to be replaced.
No cost associated with this except for my time for this one application.
Okay.
Which won't take a lot of time, a couple hours.
And so then I'll accept a motion to approve the gatekeeper resolution for the Bridge New York application.
So, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And next up is this is a continuation. All three of these are all part of that same package. This next resolution, we did the same version of this last year when we applied, and I would imagine the year before that. And this authorizes the selection of Barton Lynn Judas as our engineer firm as part of the application process, which means if we received in the same way, if we received this one as we did the Curry Road culvert replacement funds, we could immediately just begin working directly with them. So we wouldn't have to go through a search process. Any questions about that? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then next up is, again, it's basically, this is a resolution of support. You would think that, the other two resolutions clearly indicate our support, but we actually needed a resolution on the books saying that the town board is in support of fixing this bridge or this hairpin culvert with Bridge New York funds. So we're taking care of that now.
Move it 3 times.
Exactly. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now that, what I'd like to do is I would like to hold temporarily, to, jump past the authorization on the prepay for general liability because we do have our broker Marcus here. And I want to get to you, but I'd like to get through just a couple more items of business if the board's amenable to that, to bring them up so we can make sure we have time for, is that okay? Okay, and then the next up is the authorization of a prepayment for youth development civic internship. So we have been doing, and it's gone amazingly well. I'm so grateful to Rachel Kennedy for running our civics internship program. And this is with high school students who have been working in collaboration with parts of the comprehensive plan steering committee. They've been going through training. There's been some soft skill training, and also they've been actually taking the comp plan framework and actually going into classrooms from freshmen all the way up to seniors in their civics and government programs, and running focus groups on issues that matter to youth, because that is such a hard voice to get. And so it's been going really well. Tompkins County has been really happy with us. I think that was the message we got from the youth commission meeting earlier this month, is how pleased they are with our youth development programming this fall. And this program, it's budgeted for, and it's part of the matching funds that Tompkins County is putting into it. But we have budgeted a $250 stipend for the participants. The reason this is a prepay authorization is because tomorrow is the very last day of programming. And they've been meeting for 10 weeks. There's a gap, but for the holidays, but they're paid based on their participation. So if you don't attend all of the sessions, you don't get the full $250. So Rachel can't affirmatively say that they have, gone through it until tomorrow, and then we don't want them to have to wait until January. So that's why it's a prepay authorization, but it's a fixed amount of how much it could possibly be. So is there a motion to there are 15 youth participating?
I was gonna ask.
15, yeah. And is there a motion to approve the prepay for their stipends?
So moved.
Second, any further discussion or questions about this? Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then Mary, that brings you up,
Yeah,
B committee appointments.
yeah, I would like to propose a resolution appointing Bridget Brewer to the B committee. She's actually been coming to the meetings, most of the meetings this year. And she brings, and she just hasn't gotten around to filling out the application, I guess. But she brings some real skills in landscaping with native pollinator plants, as well as knowledge of integrated pest management. And she has a very impressive native pollinator plant garden at her house on Bradley Street. So I would like to make a motion that we appoint Bridget Brewer to the B committee.
Wonderful. Is there a second? Any further discussion?
I have a question. Is there a term for that?
Well, there's no terms for anybody on this. When we set up the committee, it didn't specify terms, so I'm not really sure.
Rather than make a term.
In the org meeting, it goes through the end of
December?
Yes.
Okay.
And so what I would recommend is you appoint her through the end of 2024.
Okay,
And I will include her in the org docs, and we'll just affirm. I'll just make sure, Chris, I confirm with you, name and spelling and all that, or actually, Mary, you emailed that. I'll include her in the org docs, so it'll be affirmatively recognized in that as well.
okay,
But there seems like stupid to only do it through the end of this.
Right.
yeah.
3 weeks.
Although there are many a committee, I wish I could only have another 2 to 3 weeks, so, but I don't think it's the bees. I think the bees is great. So let's make it through the end of December 31st, 2024.
24, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, there's a motion and somebody seconded that.
Yeah.
Michael, you seconded that? Are you okay with the friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, then I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye, excellent.
Okay.
We are just cooking with fire. We are moving on to that is the climate smart designated coordinator position.
Yeah.
I want to thank Roxanne for being willing to do this. It used to historically be the environmental planner, but we no longer have an environmental planner. So the only change I would like to make is in the first resolved. I'd like to, the chair of the Conservation and Sustainability Advisory Council of the town of Ulysses, comma, Roxanne Marino, comma, is hereby appointed. So putting Roxanne's name specifically in there. Other than that, we appreciate your service, Roxanne, and appreciate this effort continuing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And then that brings us to Michelle with the comp plan contract update.
Yeah, was there
The
a
UDC, not
a
UDC.
specific
DEC.
question? Are you talking about the contract with the DEC?
Yeah, it was hung up for whatever
Yes,
reason.
and it's
Yeah.
been fully executed now.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, good.
About a week and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we got it back. I know.
Woo-hoo. It
What
was-
is this?
this is the Department of Environmental Conservation contract. They issued a contract. And then they had to, I mean, it took forever to them to get to the issuing a contract. Then they had to repeal said contract.
Yeah.
And then go back and think about some things and then issue the contract again. And I signed it, I don't know, like just November 30th or something ridiculous, like. As soon as it's for the comp plan.
Okay.
So it's the money we got, the grant we got from the DEC to update our comp plan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been we owe Michelle a debt of gratitude for her love of working
For
with
dogging
this particular department, right? We are grateful for their money.
So with the contract signed now, I also understand the DEC signed off on the RFI or RFQ.
Yeah. P.
See, I think it's an
You're
RFP, but it's an
close.
RFQ.
You're close.
Is it an RFP?
Yes,
Okay.
What's
because I
that?
kept
Request-
saying that I should be an
Request for
RFP.
quote versus
For a
proposal.
Right,
What's the difference?
Well,
it's
No
not, it's,
functional difference.
I think there's a scope definition difference.
Yeah.
A proposal doesn't have as much of a defined scope, I think. Unquote.
So the comp plan steering committee meets tomorrow, and I believe at that meeting, there's gonna be a request for committee members to provide any recommendations. There's a working list that we have of places to specifically target, as well as the list that we push it out broadly, but committee members, if they have other recommendations of firms that they're aware of, we'd like to collect those, and I believe the intention is to have that RFQ out this month, so.
Great.
Okay.
twenty twenty-four is gonna be busy. for me.
It is. And then one more thing, I'd like to bring up, because so Michelle and I are both, well, I'm gonna leave at 6:50, it's 6:28. And Michelle has also the same commitment to the same activity that I do next. So I'd like to bring up the vouchers. And the payment of unaudited claims, if you wouldn't mind bringing this forth now. And we have a voucher resolution on the same page as the EMS contract page. So any questions? The total is an amount of $118,063.48.
You're 3.5 inches thick.
It's the time of year.
That's a lot. Second.
So I'll move that. Is there a second? Second, any discussion?
You've answered all my questions that I had going through them, so thank you.
Wonderful. Then all those in favor? Aye. Okay, and so the one item that we haven't covered yet is this authorization to prepay for general liability and cyber insurance coverage. But Mark, since we're very happy to have you, I'd like to welcome you into the meeting. And appreciate having a conversation with you coming back this year. You came back maybe last year at this time, and kind of a fun way for us to close out the business of our year.
Well, thank you. It's the first time I've heard insurance described as fun, but I'll keep moving. I do want to just thank Michelle. She and I have been working together for a couple months now in preparation of the renewal, and it's quite a bit of work. There's many forms and questions to review. So I just want to thank her for all her efforts. Tonight's renewal that I'm presenting is hot off the press, as I received it last night after business hours, and put together a brief summary, comparative analysis of last year and this year. And I'd like to share my screen if that's okay.
Great, thank you. Chris is letting you do that right now.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep, yeah.
Okay, great. So this is a summary of our insurance program, which includes property and casualty. And this is a very high level summary. We blanket all of the buildings we have into one bucket or pool of limit. And you can see that that limit has increased this year by a little over $300,000. And that's actually what is driving a decent portion of the increase. I would say that the property market and the municipal marketplace have been challenged with increasing rates. Property market, for those of you that have received your personal insurance renewals on your home, I'm sure you've probably noticed an increase, and it's similar in the commercial world as well. Carriers are taking rate increases driven in large part by reinsurers and all of the natural disasters and catastrophes, wildfires, tornadoes, that we've experienced have driven reinsurers to increase rates, and from there rates tend to flow accordingly. So if reinsurers are increasing rates, the insurers are going to increase rates as well. I'm going to roll through this fairly quickly, but I would encourage you to stop me if you have any specific questions. As you can see, we have 3.401685 in blanket property limits available. Our deductible is $1,000. We
Mark,
also,
I have a question.
yes, go right ahead.
So we're raising the blanket limit of about $270,000.
Correct.
Is that necessary? To keep
So
pace?
it's a great question. And that is actually one of the things that has been driven by the insurance company. So insurance companies are basically looking at the increased cost of materials. Materials have leveled out some for sure, but increased cost of labor rates and overall the increased cost to rebuild. And so they have looked at that and said, look, the days of rebuilding for $100 a square foot are gone. And so given the square footages, the types of construction and the things that the town insures, we believe that the appropriate limit to have is 3.4 as opposed to 3.1. And there is not much negotiating that goes on with that limit. The carrier has stood pretty firm on that.
So this is 100% replacement value, is that right?
Correct. It is replacement cost. Yes, it is.
So if we
And-
wanted
ahead.
to self-insure part of it, you're saying we really can't. Like if we stuck to the 3.1 and decided as a board to self-insure the other 300, is that a possibility?
No, that is not a possibility.
But if we increase the deductible, wouldn't that be the same thing?
So we looked last year at increasing the deductible as well. And the return premium associated with taking on that increased retention did not merit making that change. So for example, if we went to $5,000, $10,000 in a deductible, and only got, a reduction in premium of a couple $100, it really doesn't make sense to do so. We found with Houston Casualty last year, and I haven't had time, I can do so tomorrow, to ask the carrier to give me an exact quote on increasing the deductible to a higher limit. However, last year when we went through that exercise, it did not make good financial sense for the town to do so.
Oh. That's kind of our decision.
Can you,
And
can you ask?
maybe get.
Yes, I will ask, yes.
And I don't mind asking for like 25 or
50,000?
50,000
Yeah,
deductible. The odds, I mean, and just see how the numbers shake.
What are the kind of claims that would be subject to this deductible?
Pardon me?
What are the claims that would be subject to the deductible?
That would, so anything associated with property.
So, but
Town
not
property.
vehicles?
Pardon me?
Vehicles are different.
Different.
That is a different one. Yep, that's different. So our vehicles are actually, we have the physical damage for the vehicles insured on the inland marine, which is not the auto policy. Obviously, our liability is insured on the auto policy. The reason why we have them insured for physical damage on the inland marine is it's cheaper to do so. And so there's really no difference in coverage to the town. I would say that that's not an across the board strategy that works with every carrier. You have to really look at the carrier and understand how they're doing it and what their rate structure is. But that's how we've done it to save the town some money rather than putting it on the auto policy. I'll move down just a little bit to the general liability. So general liability covers the town should there be an allegation that someone's property were damaged or a third party was injured because of something the town was doing. As you can see, we have a $1 million per occurrence limit. We have an aggregate limit, and by aggregate, I mean available in any one policy year of $3 million. Personal and advertising injury is another line of that coverage. Again, that is at a limit of $1 million per occurrence. We also have employee benefits liability, which is very much clerical in nature. Substantial employee benefits disputes really are better resolved with fiduciary liability insurance. But that is a good coverage, and you can see we have some abuse and molestation coverage there as well. Professional liability, public officials liability, which is the liability associated with an allegation that decisions made here in this body negatively impacted someone in some way, shape, or form. As you can see, we have $1 million available to us there. There is a deductible. This is a management liability policy. And so typically with management liability policies, you do have some type of retention or deductible associated with them. I'm just going to go back up very quickly. And as you can see with general liability, there is no deductible associated with that. But when we get to professional liability, there is. And you can see the coverages there. employment practices liability, law enforcement liability, and that's really associated with code enforcement here. And I'm going to keep moving.
Wait, Mark,
question-
wait.
Yes, go
we
right
skipped
ahead.
We skipped over the inland marine thing. So I'd like
Okay.
to review
My
that.
apologies. My
The
apologies.
schedule of vehicles went up a lot. Was that because of this new vehicle we got?
Yes.
Yep. And then the flood earthquake limit went up a couple of $100,000.
Right. That has right. That's a combined limit there. And that again has to do with the vehicles as well.
The flood and earthquake limit?
Yeah,
What
it's
is-
because it's a property limit, right? And so essentially flood and earthquake is an added covered peril, right, to this policy at that limit, both of those things. They would not be covered unless they're added perils, and they have to be added in for a limit.
And what's interesting here is you do have a 50,000 deductible on the flood and earthquake.
Correct.
So
On
I don't know
flood and
why we don't get quoted the 50,000 on the property. Back to
Pardon
that.
me?
Back to the idea of raising our deductible on the
Yes,
property.
no, I understand.
Yeah.
Right, and yes, and it's a good question, and I would say that the $50,000 deductible in a flood and earthquake situation is much more of a common deductible that we see in the industry. Obviously, I think tied to frequency, but again, I will ask the carrier for quotes on increased property deductibles first thing in the morning.
So is inland, is that the highway vehicles?
Yeah.
Inland marine?
Yeah.
So are they're listed at 621,000?
That's what they're listed at.
Yeah, I have
It's
I
like,
have the schedule on a
Isn't it
different.
Right, is it? Yeah, I mean, it seemed, there's a
the
big
highway-
jump here from
what if the
419
highway barn
to
burns down?
621, but our vehicles are stored in the highway barn and they're more than, what's the value, Michelle, of our
The
vehicles?
one we just bought was,
Was 380 or something?
That's based on our vehicle schedule, correct?
Yes, it is. I'm trying to pull that up right
Is it
now.
including the depreciated value of all the equipment we have, all the,
you said it's replacement value.
is this
Yes.
well, this isn't replaced.
Mark, can you, there was a question about what if the highway barn burns down? And how do, you know, like that would be full replacement of all of our vehicles in a certain circumstance and contents?
Yes, yeah, so it's a good question. The barn itself would be covered under the property blanket limit, right? And the vehicles would be covered under the inland marine.
But again, Michael makes a good point. The value of the vehicles has to be more than 621,000. We just bought a new one for like 300 something thousand, didn't we? So I don't,
Yeah,
Does
I
that
have to look at the schedule. I'm trying to pull the schedule up right now. And I
maybe they're
can't-
all depreciated.
Right, but if it burned down,
No, we need this isn't replacement value. This is like two vehicles.
yeah.
That's not.
What
your replacement,
scheduled
yeah.
vehicles
I'm going there
They're
right
the
now.
ones
Probably
the ones
on the
they,
schedule?
on the
Okay.
schedule.
So,
Went up 200,000,
Yet
For
the
the
flood
vehicles.
earthquake
but it's
Limit.
only $100,000.
applies to.
so we
as well?
don't have,
Apparently not.
have some of the vehicles insured for physical damage. Okay, so for example, the Volvo excavator, we're not insuring physical damage on that.
Because
Because,
That's the
hold
new
on.
one.
My,
the new
oh,
one.
2022.
Yeah, that's the new.
So that should be.
yeah, my apologies. We are insuring physical damage. But we are insuring, okay, so the Mac we're insuring the 98 Mac, the 2007 International, the 2003 Volvo. We have a Chevy Silverado 2016, Toyota Hybrid 2016. We have a trailer. Okay, my apologies, everyone. I was reading that wrong. Okay, here's the Inland Marine. Okay, we have 186,000 on the Volvo excavator that we just bought. We have see here, 68,000 on the 22 Ford dump truck. We have 13,000 for a brush chipper, 12,000 snow plow, 30,000 on the John Deere 2002, 50,000 on the backhoe. And again, I should also say these are replaced with like, kind, and quality. And the secondary market for construction vehicles typically is where you would find it. Wouldn't be you would go and take a 2000 Ford dump truck, right? You're probably going to find something closer rather than a brand new one at full value.
So it's not replacement value, it's,
Like
On
impact.
the inland marine, yes, the inland marine is different, right? We
Right.
have up to a certain limit, right? Up to that like, kind, and quality.
well, I guess I just have an overarching question for these little ones, like 13,000. We're perfectly capable of
Right.
insuring them ourselves.
Correct. And
Again,
we're,
that's, go ahead.
yep, we're happy to, we can take those off. These are, I'm working off the schedules that Michelle
Right.
had given us, and Michelle and I can run through those tomorrow, and we can remove the smaller valued vehicles if that's and equipment. if you would
I'm
like.
just throwing it out there. We have to have a
Sure.
consensus on it, what everybody thinks.
Well, so the likelihood is that catastrophe in the barn is
Right.
one,
Right,
and then somebody, in a big truck goes ditch diving, right?
yeah,
It destroys one of the trucks.
right.
Right.
Um,
So
yeah.
we'd have to look at, okay, did we replace it with something the same year? Or. Buy
So
something-
2009, if the 1998 vehicle goes out, we're not gonna probably buy a 1998 vehicle.
Right,
We're
right,
gonna either buy a better one.
yeah. But-
So the 13,000 they're giving us isn't gonna be making
The down
meaningful
payment
down
on something.
in it. Yeah, but so the question is, how much insurance are we paying for that 13,000 again?
Yeah.
It's a cost benefit ratio.
Sure.
So I think we need to just see some, like a spreadsheet, 13,000 of that vehicle equals how much insurance costs, break it down a little.
Right.
I think it's worth seeing the breakdown.
Yep, I'll have that tomorrow.
Great, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have to step out very shortly. So I
So-
wonder if we want,
Is
so
Rich in charge now?
Rich will get to be in charge. So what we could do is we could go ahead and authorize so Michelle, could we go ahead and do the authorization on the general liability and cyber insurance? We did this last year and then there was a little tweaking. It got cheaper after we passed this resolution last year. We were able to get less because it would always be less than what you're seeing now, either equal to or less than. Are you okay passing this resolution and then going through that
Yeah.
process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, I'll make a motion to approve the authorization to secure general liability and cyber insurance for 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, so that conversation can now continue. Without me, I will quickly point out before we jump back to you, Mark, is there's no minutes being approved tonight, so you don't have to worry about that. I have no board notification. We already did payment of audit and claims. So really, after you're done with this Rich, all you have are municipal board reports. And privilege of the floor.
Does that include Annie?
Yep, and I contacted Anne in advance to let her know.
Oh,
that
okay.
We were,
Great.
that she would be closer to the 7 o'clock time, and that's, with privilege of the floor, it sounds like it'll be coming in closer to its regular time. Because those, we never really meet at 6 o'clock, so. Before we leave, before I leave, I would like to thank Rich for sharing, and I would like to thank each of you, for serving on the board, and doing, important work on behalf of your community. So thank you very much for being here.
Back at you. Yeah,
And
thank you.
And I wish the public a wonderful rest of 2023, and we'll be back at it in 2024, but this is our last meeting, and I will hop out of the way for Rich to take over.
Different seats.
Here are the signs.
We approved budget modifications already.
We did, I know. I don't
Take the
know if
pressure,
there's
Rich.
anything left to do.
It looks easy from there, doesn't it, Rich?
So, do we have any more questions for?
I was gonna say, do we need any?
No, I
follow-up
think
with
as
Mark?
long as
should
he,
make
I
the
think he
shift stay.
understands
She's gotta go.
what we'd like. And,
I can say.
yeah, it's great. Thank you, Mark, for doing that, and we look forward to looking at it.
Thank you. I'll be back in touch.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Rich.
All right. We did the prepay, we did the prepay for that, we did our upcoming events. January 4th is the organizational meeting at 8:30. January 9th, we have a regular meeting at 7 p.m. January 23rd, we have a regular meeting at 7 p.m. We already paid the claims, right?
Yep.
That's a municipal board and staff reports and announcements. Anyone want to report?
So we, the Water Source Protection Plan, had a meeting yesterday. And it was our, essentially the first meeting with any kind of 1.5 meetings, but we had data back. It was like, what, 300 some we got back?
Almost 300.
Almost 300, yeah.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And,
25%.
yeah, and it's a spattering around the town, so we batted that around for about an hour and a half or something. And so we're gonna try to do another push for another announcement for more, people to get other reports back. There was whether or not we're gonna mail anything out, but we're holding off on that, and we're trying to figure out how to analyze the data.
I had a question. We got two at our house for two people. We have one water system.
Do you have 2 properties?
I do have two, yeah.
Yeah.
one Behind it.
Yeah, because I got a couple as well.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so you probably have 2 neighboring properties or something. Yeah.
Okay.
You fill them both out?
What?
Did you fill them both out?
Sure.
Okay, you're on the spot here.
No,
Rich.
I
Double voting.
So yeah, so that's that. Anything else on that, Roxanne? I'm trying to think. The one question I had was, as we get further along in the analysis of it, because some of this is gonna feed the comprehensive plan with your own well, and then to figure out a presentation, say to us, and then maybe the planning board or something, but that's a little ways off. It's interesting information. I think we're gonna try to compare it to the 2009 survey as well.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's one of the things we're gonna do. What we decided to do is because it's a good distribution around the town of responses, but it's a lower response rate than we got last time. Maybe it's a rough time of the year. So it's about 25% response rate. So we're gonna try some like outreach on different, social media and listservs, neighborhood listservs again. And, we wrote up a little blurb, and we're gonna ask Chris to be putting it in the newsletter regularly again. And we're gonna extend taking the information until the 17th of January. And we're gonna look at what we have then and decide, do the comparison with the results from 2009, both distribution wise, and if things change, if that's part of the goal. And then, see, what we can report to the board, see what anybody thinks beyond that. I mean, there's other components to work on plans, just one of the bits. So, yeah, But yeah, but we're glad, you know, we got good information. We'd like to get a little more responsive and things in the aid. The public's awareness is more raised now, wanting to give input on things. And so we're doing another outreach push, not mailing, but other way, every other way we can think of, you know, it's
Yeah.
mailing customers. Yeah.
And then the other one I sent out, I sent it to you, I didn't send it to you guys, but I'll give this, there was some, training,
Right,
that I sent out. And, you know, we may, the one I want to look at is the amended zoning or mending zoning.
yeah,
That's on December 20th, so just, I'll send that to you and then you can, Rich got it.
yeah, that's great, thanks, Mike.
I sent it to the,
Planning board.
yeah,
and
the planning
BZA.
board
Oh.
and the BZ, I sent it to Niels, Rich,
Right,
and Steve, and Pete, Angie.
right,
And I think Chris, I can make a copy, yeah, because I didn't send it to,
Or I could just, if it's a website, I can pull it down.
Oh, is it?
It's a DEC,
yeah.
a DOS.
Good training.
Okay.
so,
Yeah, thank you.
Ann Corman is here, our county legislature. Ann, you want to weigh in on anything?
I can just give you a couple quick updates if that's okay.
That'd be great.
All right. First off, I really wanted to thank the board for your leadership and foresight and in trying to put forth some land for recreation use. And I'm sorry that didn't work out. And I know there's been some comments from different people in the public that some things weren't above board, and I think quite to the contrary. I applaud the transparency that you've had on this, and also all the getting out facts to as quickly as you could as people are bringing up different information. So I appreciate that. And I know for the county looking at properties for various things, you know, it's a very difficult thing. So anyway, thank you for going through that. And wanted to say too that the biggest thing is funding for the rapid medical response vehicle. I know Caitlin attended the TCOG meeting, the Tompkins County Council of Government meetings, and I attended that too last week. And that was one of the topics. And I just wanted to know if from you folks, if you had any other insight or opinions you wanted to share with me. My thinking is I prefer the county to pay for the medical response vehicle rather than trying to figure out who's using it more, who would benefit more. I don't think personally that I can parse that out, or anybody can figure out how to parse that out. I think it's more like our sheriff's department, where, you know, some municipalities have a public safety department, some don't, you know, and the mutual aid is just happens automatically. We don't look at, oh, somebody's using more mutual aid than others. And I know you folks don't do that with your your fire department, your EMS, your ambulance service. Well, your ambulance service, actually, you do somewhat. But anyway, I don't think there's any way for us to parse that out, but I'm open to, you know, maybe there's something I haven't thought of, and I want to really make sure that as I'm going forward and talking about this, that I'm representing. So I'm talking to people in the community, and I want to make sure the boards in my district that, you know, that I'm hearing where you guys are at with it.
How much is the vehicle? And
We are, I don't know if we're purchasing, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but what we did was the Department of Emergency Response is they came up with a vehicle that they could have sold, you know, as you guys do, is you sell other vehicles and then buy new ones. And so we're able to use one of theirs for the first year at least. So it's not that much money. It's more the staff.
yeah,
How many staff do you need to have a functional response, emergency response? Response, I guess that's called.
I want to say it's about 3, because it's going to be, we're starting with the pilot program like during the day times. And so it would be trying to have one staff person at a time. So I think that works out to be about 3 people. to actually make sure that someone's available. And it works out to be almost $1 million a year. If I have the figures correct for all the different equipment and things that we need to do. And so, and as part of it being a pilot program too, it could be that down the line, we say, hey, this is working really well, or this isn't what we need to adjust it. Or geez, we want more staff because this is working so well. It's cutting that, it's allowing Trumansburg to stay in their area and benefiting you folks more, or geez, it's cutting down our response time, or it's great to have that extra person show up on site that, you know, we want the county to do more, or it might be down the road that the county provides an actual ambulance service. So right now, this is just an an EMS person to show up on site and be positioned like in the center of the county to just get in their car and just go. So to be quicker than a lot of especially the volunteer services, like say, well, I don't want to pick out any municipalities, but some municipalities have a volunteer service and their response time is very slower. I don't want to say very slow, but slower.
So how does it work? And a call comes in, and how is it determined that this rapid response team gets a call?
So it would be a medical emergency.
Hmm.
And so they'd be dispatched and by our Department of Emergency Response, like somebody calling 911. And so, for instance, they might respond to Enfield, Ulysses, Groton. They could respond anywhere, or there could be, a call for fire, but you're calling also for, medical emergency. So for instance, it could be in some places, even if they do have an ambulance service, this person can get there and, provide some life-saving measures that might help the person versus some of the municipalities, it can take 20-30 minutes for a medical personnel to arrive.
Great, thank you. Okay.
Any
And this pilot would be
opinion?
2020 This pilot would be through all 2024, was what you're looking at?
2024, right. And so what we did this year is the county is looking at paying for half of it, and we're hoping to get half of it with a paid for with a grant. And then so what we might be looking at is the possibility of the municipalities chipping in some starting in 2025.
Yeah, I guess if you have quarterly updates or something and see how it's being used.
I mean, the idea of us paying more for ambulance service is daunting, given we just spent $440,000 a year on it.
Yeah, but if it takes some of the load off
Look, yeah,
these folks,
yeah,
it could be a longer term solution or.
yeah,
And might reduce the
at the cost
budget
here,
for that.
yeah,
Because we used to have a lot of frequent flyers from cars,
right, yeah. We did,
so I haven't heard much about that.
yeah, I think it's somewhat reduced.
So it could relieve some of the pressure on the T-Bird
Right,
ambulance,
yeah,
focus on,
Yeah.
possibly, right?
If they don't ask for a second or third ambulance or
Right,
whatever
right.
they need.
yeah.
Are you guys talking to the other ambulance services for this? Like Trumansburg and Bangs?
Are they talking directly with them? I think, well, Rorden Hart was one of the main folks that helped come up with the plan, so he has been.
Okay, good.
Right,
And and my thinking is the more municipalities, so in some of the ideas that have been floated, Ulysses and Trumansburg are not included because you have your own ambulance service.
Right. Yeah.
And then other ones they are because thinking it's going to help everyone. Some ideas count the city of Ithaca, some don't because they have bangs. But then it was brought up that, well, the folks in the city of Ithaca aren't paying through their taxes for that. That's a private service. So whether the city of Ithaca should chip in or not. So anyway, I'll keep you updated as as we get more fleshed out and as the program's going. So we have a while before, but I just wanted to, bring it up to you and get you at least thinking about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
And
Anybody
the
else?
last thing I just wanted to say, if everybody could please get your COVID and flu shots as we're headed into the flu season. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ann. Any other reports?
No,
Okay.
we have our comp plan meeting tomorrow, so
All
should be reporting on that next month.
right,
There was a mention at the CSAC committee meeting that Andy Hillman brought up. Well, actually, a couple of things. One is that there's a screening of this movie Clear Day Thunder
yeah,
about the bringing back American chestnuts, and it's on the 16th.
Yeah, I think one was today and one was Saturday.
Well, yeah, and then there's one on Saturday as
Right.
well at the library, 1 o'clock. And also, he mentioned that the tree advisory committee members were interested in starting a master pruner program
Hmm.
and possibly using some of the funds that have been budgeted for the tree committee to get that program started in Trumansburg in conjunction with the village.
Yeah, I thought that was part of the 2024 budget that we approved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's like $1,500, I
Yep.
think, yeah.
yeah. something. Yeah, they wanted to do some trail cleanup at Smith Woods and Salo Habitat.
What about it?
Some tree pruning along the trails, just to clean the trails up.
Good. Okay, so is that it? I think we are now at privilege of the floor. So 3 minutes per person. We'll go see if back and forth, anyone in the room would like to take advantage of privilege of the floor. Please.
Hi, I'm Maureen Shalish. It was in August that I attended a meeting. It's like, what is old is new again? And I came because you were recognizing John Mortis for his service as town historian. And I came this evening because of Jeff Burns and my work with him when I was on the school board, and privately the work that he has done for others in the community, and just to recognize that and honor that. In August, when I came, I was surprised at the number of people that were here, and I thought, well, gosh, people did actually come out to honor him.
Yeah.
But they hadn't. They had come for a single issue
Right.
regarding your proposal for purchase of land. And I thought perhaps from that time going forward, maybe a lesson that would be learned was that they would be more attentive and be present. And so I guess I'm not surprised that they aren't in attendance here this evening to learn more. I appreciate your appreciations that you had this evening and the words that Ann Foreman had for the work that you have all done. I had written with regards to that project for purchase of land. I had written a letter to the board back in September. And nothing that I said in here, I don't believe any of it is contrary to what has happened. I still believe firmly in that this board did its due diligence to meet the town's goal to provide appropriate outdoor space for our youth. I very much appreciate everything, the number of hours that were even spoken of tonight and the appreciation for the board. But most of all, I appreciate the respect with which each of you have responded or reacted to criticism. And to borrow a saying from Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. And that is what I have seen and witnessed in the meetings I've been present at, and in listening to meetings that you have recorded, and appreciate, as Ann Corman spoke of, the transparency is exemplary from what I witnessed in comparison to the school board meetings I've been attending for 30 some odd years. But the actions of this board and the village board and the information that you share and just I have respect for the integrity for this board and how you have handled yourselves and the leadership of Caitlin and representing all of you. So I just wanted, I've written a letter about that in the past, but I felt it was important to speak it publicly. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else from the Zoom wanna have anything to say? I don't see any hands.
I don't have my hand
Chris.
up, but I did want to speak if,
Okay, Chris, go ahead.
I just, well, I would have, said a lot of the things that were just said, except she did such a wonderful job. I won't bother with that part. But one of the things that very much concerned me in the public discussion that, happened, and you know, I think there was a fair amount of misinformation here and there, which was unfortunate. But one of the things that concerned me was that there seemed to be a large section of the public that felt it was an obligation on the part of Ulysses to locate park or recreational facilities close to the village of Trumansburg. And you know, it gets a little strange with, you know, with the village being in charge of its own zoning and then Ulysses, you know, having responsibility for the rest of the area in the town. And of course, we do best when we cooperate. In fact, I think the, you know, the work on the Boy Scout camp has been so wonderful because of that kind of intermunicipal cooperation. But I want to be sure that, that we look really closely at what the needs of particular parts of the town for recreational facilities are, and put that in the context of, the village as a separate zoning entity, also making efforts to meet its own needs. Certainly the Boy Scout camp is located quite close to the village. You know, being as that I'm living in the part of the town that's much closer to the town of Ithaca and in the Ithaca City School District, I would like to see some exploration of recreation that might be shared with town of Ithaca. I know, you know, again, kids know one another through schools a lot of times, and there's been a lot of growth in this neighborhood, and I just think it's very important to keep in mind that those kids also need recreational opportunities, and of course, you know, people of all ages.
Great. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yeah.
Hi, hi. I just like to making sure my microphone's on. To piggyback on what Chris was talking about and the previous person, I have a question: is there a plan to form a committee now to begin working? Has there any thought been given by the board to form another committee to look at recreational, to come up with a basic plan for what we want to do with recreation with the village?
Well, we're still integrating the vote.
Okay.
But there is gonna be public meetings in January, people about this very thing, where we want people to share their ideas about what they see or what's possible. So yes, those discussions are happening.
So the intention is to have a formal committee, to develop a formal plan between the village and the town.
No,
I
that hasn't.
I don't know about a formal plan.
No? Okay, I
Not
Yeah,
yet,
there,
not yet.
this discussions have not been had about establishing anything official or formal, but I think, like Rich said, everybody's kind of just understanding the vote last week and the public input, and then we'll be moving forward in some fashion in 2024.
yeah, because I think now with all the energy from the public and period, that it would be a good time to try to form a committee because people are energized around trying to better understand what the recreation needs are and what we really intend to do for a park and recreation space would
Well,
be
and-
a good. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
what these ARPA funds, they're not limited. I mean, I think we're now back to square one in terms of what we do with the rest of the ARPA money. And I think the vote said something about what the community didn't want, for sure. Whether that was location only, or it was a vote against
Well,
more
some people-
recreation.
Have expressed to us that they don't think recreation needs attention
Right,
in our community.
right.
We've had the school fields. And
so it's people have different views, and even if you form a committee, people are gonna have different views. So I think we need to take a little time and start digesting what that means, and I think the public hearing will be a good start. And then from there,
Okay.
maybe develop a formal committee.
Yeah, I saw the list of items that you had on the committee for the funds. You mean the hearing for the use of the ARPA funds?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, but it doesn't directly talk about what do we do now about recreation lands, which is,
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, those two are related, but not bound together.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I just feel that it's a good time to strike, to try to get people energized who may have bandwidth to because I know how difficult it is to get people who have time to spend on a committee, working on a plan for something. And this is probably why energy is still high, would be a good time to try to organize that.
and the energy was there for the vote. It was a huge vote. It was 20
Yeah,
20
That's what I'm, yeah.
2,400.
2,400 people, which is more.
1400.
1,400,
1400,
which is 80% more than we get in town board votes.
Yeah.
So it was a huge, polarizing issue.
That's all we got.
So how we come out of that, we'll see.
Right.
I think we need to hear more from the public.
Yeah.
About what they really want.
But I think there's two separate issues, what to do with the ARPA funds, and then what do we want to have for recreation and parks,
Yeah,
right? And they may not, by looking at just one, you may not get the answer to the others. Yeah, because I heard a lot,
go ahead.
no, I just heard a lot of, interest in having more facilities. It's just why they're, what exactly are they planning to put there, that type of thing.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Roxanne.
Yeah, I was just actually gonna say something akin to that, but just taking off on that, I think that there's, there's potential, it's potentially, you feel there was a division over this, which I'm sure we feel it's a healing opportunity to think about having a committee, or at least maybe like, whatever they call those kind of meetings where you have roundtables and, people talk and stick Post-its on things. I'm not a big fan of that Post-its thing, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not a formal public hearing or information meeting. It's a chance for people to come and talk. And I think on that recreation topic, that's a way to get started towards potentially forming a committee, seeing who's interested, finding out, what's out there that people think, and in the meantime, putting out information to people about what all the recreation that the things that are happening right now, I mean, we've heard a lot about the needs, but the other things that we have, we have the recreation partnership that the town pays into, we have the recreation program, just so we start to compile for the whole public a big list of everything that we have now, what people think we need now, and just get that dialogue going. I think it's a really good time because of the comp plan update, which is happening slowly, hopefully more quickly soon. And this is a really good part of it. And I think people would be happy to be able to talk about it, and it would heal some of the potential division or perception of division between people who don't want recreation, or Mary just phrased it. I never heard anybody say that in the conversation that I heard. It was more.
We got a letter.
They didn't want it, right, but I'm saying, in what I heard, there wasn't a lot of that. It was a lot more, this isn't the place, we should have a plan first, that kind of a thing. There just wasn't enough full understanding of the needs of what we have. And so I feel like it would be great to do that. I'd like to see that happen because there was such a strong interest. And
Maybe we could get
reaction.
community recreation, the TCR group to
Yeah.
have some things like that, because they did, way back
They
in
did.
2017 or 2018.
And they were at Winterfest.
Sponsored by the board, perhaps with
Yeah.
TCR
Yeah.
and some others, because again,
There's
you
a,
don't want any division about it. I think you want everybody, there talking, but just 2 or 3 meetings. I remember when we did the comp plan that's currently existing, the 2009 one, and we had this public, I don't know what they call those meetings in planner language, but there were like 3 of them in different places around in town, and they, there was like somebody facilitated, you could hire someone, or could do it, or someone can do it. And people talked and gathered information, and they felt more empowered and energized by it.
Yeah.
Than a real formal meeting where you just stand up and make a statement and sit down.
yeah, that's a good
And
idea.
I agree with Linda, it's decoupled from the
Yeah.
spending of the ARPA funds.
Right, it's gotta be.
That's an important discussion too.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you for all the effort on this, I'm sure it's not an easy thing.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, I will accept the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, it's different.
Actually, I did that once before we were gone.
Second.